Hello and welcome to episode, I believe, 16 of the Comic Book Club. 17. This is episode 17.
You chickened out.
No, 16 was our final Watchmen part.
Ah.
I just had the number wrong. I'm your host, Matt Lasik.
I'm your co-host, Kendra Forte.
And we're going to be talking about Invincible today. This is your intro to Invincible, because I'm hoping with this one, I inspire you readers to continue reading what is definitely my favorite indie comic, and definitely one of, if not my favorite superhero comic. I love Invincible.
That's bold.
I really like Invincible. Again, we're only reading the first 13 issues, so you don't get like you get like a glimpse at what it is, but it's really good. Because as opposed to what the standard is for superhero comics, characters actually change. They go through character developments and character arcs, and there's permanent plot changes, and it has an ending. The series ended, which is good. It was published by Image Comics, which came about in the 90s when a bunch of superstar artists and writers from Marvel and DC formed their own publishing company, and it's now one of the biggest indie publishers. They make Spawn, Savage Dragon, other stuff. Yeah. We're going to jump right into this. Issue 1. We start in media res, which is just fancy big brain words for in the middle of the story.
I love your fancy Latin words.
I like your funny words, Magic Man. We see our hero, Mark Grayson, a.k.a. Invincible, in Antarctica with a suicide bomber. He's making jokes, which is weird. That's one of the things that, like, the tone gets more consistent, like, later on, but in these early issues, there's a weird consistency with, like, or inconsistency where it's, like, a really light tone with, like, people kind of dying everywhere.
You do what you gotta do.
I guess so. So we start in media res. Invincible throws a suicide bomber into the mountains of Antarctica, and he makes jokes about it. 4 months ago, we see Mark Grayson. He's a high school student he's a single child living with his parents. His father is the world's premier superhero and also vague Superman analog, Omni-Man. Civilian name Nolan Grayson. He and his mother, Mark and his mother Debbie, are aware of it and are very chill about it. They talk about it as if he's, like, staying late at the office. Like, they turn on the news and he's fighting a dragon. He's like, I hope he's home in time for dinner. So, you get the sense that Omni-Man is very powerful and can basically do anything he wants to if his family are this chill about him fighting dragons halfway across the planet.
I love how chill they are.
Honestly, I think it's the best part about these early issues is how chill
everything is.
It's how chill the Grayson family is about everything.
And I'm going to talk about this later, but it's not just the Grayson. No one cares about anything.
Yeah. It's weird because this is the same author that did The Walking Dead, where no one is chill about anything.
He was like, I'm going to take a break from caring. We're gonna create a family that's so chill.
Yeah. So Mark goes to his high school. We meet his friend William and learn that Mark has a part-time job at a burger place. Later that day, he's at work, and he goes to take out the trash, and his super strength activates. So he just kind of yeets the trash bag into the stratosphere. And believe it or not, that trash bag is important. Many, many issues later.
That's what that was!
Eventually in the series, I don't think it's in these first 13 issues, but eventually in the series, the trash bag's orbit does decay.
It shows up again later in the 13.
Oh, does it? Okay, I must have missed that when I was making my notes. And Mark just says, it's about time, in reference to his superpowers. That night, we actually meet Omni-Man, a.k.a. Nolan. He's very chill. He makes money by writing novels. It's never clear about what his novels are about. I think it's supposed to be it's adaptations of his adventures, kind of like how in Marvel, most superheroes have a licensing deal that, like, the in-universe Marvel Comics makes comics that are just retellings of their adventures.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Mark tells his parents he has superpowers. They say, and I quote, "That's nice." That same night, he learns to fly. 2 weeks later, Mark has cobbled together an outfit and is fighting crime. This is another instance where everyone's just super chill because, like, it's a bunch of, like, bank robbers, and one of them has like super tough rock skin, and they're just like, I thought you were supposed to cover our scheme. He's like, being hit with bullets hurts, you know. His dad shows up and he takes him to a costume maker named Art. And Mark complains like, none of these costumes fit. I want something iconic. And Art's like, do you know how vague that is? And he basically says, come up with a name first and then we can work on a costume. Next day at school, Mark defends a kid while getting bullied, slams the bully into a locker, possibly breaking bones. No
one cares.
Yeah.
I mean, the principal cares.
The principal cares.
That's his job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one is like, Mark, you're super strong. Fine. It's whatever.
The principal chews him out and says, you're not invincible, you know. And Mark gets this big dopey grin on his face. And then Mark, with his new name as Invincible and his fancy little costume, stops another bank robbery. And that's the end of issue 1. This is very much like pilot episode E, you know?
It's very cute.
Yeah.
I like that no one cares about anything.
Yeah. Issue 2 starts with a flashback. In this, Mark is about 7. Omni-Man is telling him about his origins, about he is sort of a galactic explorer from a utopian planet called Viltrum, and he was sent to Earth to act as their protector. In the present, Mark goes on a late-night joy fly in his pajamas, and he runs into the Teen Team, which is this universe's analog for the Teen Titans. And they're fighting a blue-skinned villain named Mauler. The Teen Team is comprised of Robot, who is very smart. That's his superpower. Adam Eve, that is one person, Atomeve. Get it? Like Adam and Eve, haha. She has like some sort of vague... her powers get fleshed out later, but like for now she just has like...
I have zero clue what her powers are. I think she can fly.
Yeah, she has like vague matter control stuff, so most of what she does in these early issues is just like turn air solid and then do shit with that. So do stuff with that. It's just like vague Invisible Woman-esque powers. There's Rex Splode. That's his real name.
That's ugly. We don't like that here.
Rex Splode, who is a jerk, and I hate him. He has the power to, like Gambit, he can like make things explode. It's just Gambit. Now that I say it, it's just Gambit's powers. If you know your X-Men stuff, it's just Gambit's powers. He touches something and then it explodes. And there's Duplicate, who can replicate herself into a bunch of bodies. Isn't that neat? So yeah, they all fight and defeat a villain named Mauler. The next day, Mark and Eve realize they're in the same class because Eve's costume doesn't have a mask. And Mark was in his pajamas, so they just kind of sit next to each other in chemistry class and they're like, wait a minute.
They do it in the hallway. They're like, hey, didn't I run into you fighting crime last night? And no one's like, huh? What? And she's like... And she's not like, shh, be quiet about it. She's like, yeah, I ran into you fighting crime last night as well.
Yeah, so it's very meet, cute, and then they start to bond. After school, they go to the Teen Team's base, and they accompany Robot to take down Mauler again. And it's at this point that we learn that Mauler is a part of a crime duo known as the Mauler Twins, because honestly, these might be my favorite recurring villain team in the series, because it's Mauler and his clone, who's also called Mauler, and all of their dialogue is primarily them arguing about who's the original. And then, minor spoilers, much later in the series, one of them gets killed.
Oh no!
But the remaining one who has figured out that he is the clone, then clones himself. So now there's the clone and the clone of the clone, and now they're arguing about which one of those is the original clone. I love the Mauler twins. They easily beat up the twins, and Robot invites Mark to join the team. And then in a nearby mall, cliffhanger ending, in a nearby mall, a dude wakes up with the same bomb contraption strapped to his chest that we saw in the beginning of issue 1, and he blows up. And that's the end of issue 2. Oh well. Issue 3, we learn that students have gone missing from Mark's high school, and we also learn that Eve is dating Rex Splode.
And honestly, what's coming, she should have seen it coming. His name is Rex Splode.
And we'll get to that. We also learned that there was a second bombing in between issues. Mark quits his burger job because he's a teenager and he's angsty.
And also he has superpowers. That would be the first thing I'd do. I would quit all of my jobs if I had superpowers.
Yeah. Later, he and Omni-Man go on patrol together as their first father-son team-up thing. At this point, it's established that Omni-Man is much more powerful than Invincible. He's faster, stronger, more invincible, etc., etc. He keeps, like, speeding off to take care of things.
He's like, ooh, a crime. I'll be back. And then disappears and comes back later. He's like, all right, bonding time.
Yeah, a lot of that. They respond to an alert from the military who are fighting off some sort of alien invasion. They realize that these invaders are from another dimension with different, their time works differently there. So while the invaders are in our, or quote-unquote, our universe, Mark's universe, they age very rapidly. So using that, the Omni-Man kind of like flexes his guns and gets mad, and then like all the invaders flee as they age. As Invincible and Omni-Man fly home, they briefly mention two of the other super teams in this universe, the Guardians of the Globe and Megaforce. On the way, they find another teen in another mall with another bomb. It's too late to save him. They just kind of throw him out the ceiling and he explodes. But at least the
mall?
I tried to say bomb and mall at the same time, and instead I said mom and ball. At least the mall didn't blow up. Right before he blows up, Invincible recognizes him as one of the missing students. So that's a development. Before anything else can happen, though, a portal opens up that is being opened by the alien invaders, and Omni-Man is pulled through. And Invincible and Mark and Debbie just kind of take it very chill. They're like, well, I hope he's home soon. Issue 4. Mark, or Invincible, you know me, I interchange. Invincible goes to the team base to tell Eve that he figured out that the bombings and the missing students are interconnected. He chats with Robot about the bombings. Robot flexes his big brain. The next day, Mark and Eve are trying to like keep their eye out for clues, and they end up getting publicly embarrassed by their chemistry teacher. As they're leaving school, Robot calls them, tells them that same teacher is the dude making teenagers into bombs. So they fly to his house, and the teacher's like, "Oh, Eve, I see you're here since you don't wear a mask." Teacher explains that he blames, in a roundabout way, he blames Malls for his son's suicide.
Darn Malls.
Darn Malls. And he reveals that, there is one last student that he had named Derek Sanders that is like, he isn't like turned into a bomb yet, but his organs have all been like turned into metal and stuff to prepare for the bomb thing. And he also reveals that he, the teacher, is wearing the final bomb. And then we see the scene from issue 1 where Mark takes him and flies him to Antarctica and makes weirdly timed jokes. Invincible then flies home, as does Omni-Man. He like staggers in through the door with like long hair and a full beard.
Once again, no one cares. They're like,
no, over the progress of the last issue, we had seen the toll that had been taken on Debbie, and we now see her great relief. So she was just
she sheds a tear.
Yeah, she had been playing it very chill, but she had actually been really worried. Even though it's only been a couple weeks in Mark's universe to Omni-Man, he had been in that dimension for 8 months and had staged like a full revolution. And there's just another chill ending as they all just kind of eat dinner. Issue 5. Invincible gets its first solo mission from Omni-Man. Since Omni-Man is busy with the Guardians, he needs Mark to take care of a, quote, major baddie who is currently flying to Earth from space.
That's what they call me.
Okay. Sure, Kendra. We learn another power of theirs, of Viltrumites, that they can hold their breath for a very long time. Just for funsies.
Yeah. He's like, I can hold my breath for 2 weeks. You can do an hour. It's like, okay. Weird flex, but okay.
So Mark flies out to space and starts fighting this orange-skinned alien with a big Cyclops eye. The alien is very talkative via telepathy, and he's really chatty. He's just like super chill. Like they're punching each other in space, and he's just like, oh hey, what's up?
You're not prepared for your first day here, are you?
Yeah, it's implied that Nolan, Omni-Man, had never like attempted to communicate with this alien, and Mark is the first from Earth to do so. There's also some mentioning of like champions and like customs, like you're allowed one time out during our fight and stuff like that. So eventually Mark's like, all right, pause. What's going on here? And they start talking. It turns out that the dude named Alan, his actual official, swear to God, canon name is Alan the Alien, and he is my favorite character in Invincible. Alan works for the Coalition of Planets as a champion evaluation officer, and he basically shows up. He has a schedule of planets that he shows up to, sort of like cycles through and like tests their appointed champions every couple of years just to make sure that they're still like up to coalition standards. And they realize that he's been coming to the wrong planet for 15 years. And because Nolan never tried to communicate with him, no one ever found out. So Alan then heads out to the planet he's meant to be at, which is called Urath. It's similar enough to Earth. That's the joke. It's a bureaucracy joke. This one is just a comedy issue. Nothing really happens in this issue. We just meet Alan, and he's cool.
And he's once again chill.
And Mark heads home, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, why didn't you ever try talking to the guy?" And he's like, I didn't think of that. Good job, buddy." Issue 6. Omni-Man and Invincible are playing catch. And by catch, I mean they're flying back to back and hurling the baseball the way around the Earth.
That's so cool. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That's something I really gotta compliment the author here. I've forgotten his name. Which, like, come on, this is like my favorite indie series. I should know the author's name.
Kirkman, Walker, Otley, Crabtree.
Robert Kirkman.
There we go.
Bob Kirkman. Bobby Kirk. I'll stop. So when we were talking about Watchmen, one of the things that I praise is Moore's ability to sort of craft the world in such a way that it was realistic in the way that the people in that world were reacting to superheroes, right? Kirkman does something similar, but albeit in a much lighter tone, that like he shows a lot of detail of like the heroes just in their civilian lives or even on their off hours when they're on patrol but like not finding anything, just showing them like using their powers in chill manners. Like Mark and Nolan playing catch back to back all the way around the Earth.
Above their house.
yeah, and right above their suburban house.
No one puts any dots together at all. No one has connected the dots. No one is doing any type of critical thinking in this world, and I love it.
Yeah. I think they're somewhere in the greater DC area, so either in like Maryland or Virginia, because they frequently go to the Pentagon, which is like right nearby. So I think it's never like really explicitly stated, but I think they're somewhere in Virginia. Because they also go to Arlington Cemetery in later issues, and we see like non-superpowered people there. So I'm like, oh, they just flew to Arlington. Like, no, they're within reasonable walking distance of Arlington. They realize the time. Mark goes with William to his appointment at Upstate University, which is, God, I love generic place names in media where they can't use the actual names. It's like, oh, I attend a school university.
I go to college university.
Go mascot. And then just another fun detail, just as I was saying, of Kirkman showing these characters just like using their powers in their normal lives. Like the second Mark and William are gone, Nolan and Debbie go have super sex. Meanwhile, Robot informs the teen team that he has been invited to join the Guardians of the Globe and is such disbanding the teen team. We then cut for a page to some ex-Guardian named Black Samson. I just refer to him as Samson because using that name makes me feel uncomfy. I don't know how you felt about it.
I was also uncomfortable when you said Black Samson. I didn't see a problem with it when I was reading it in my head.
Okay.
Because I normally just refer to people as their race and then their name.
Okay. I'll be calling him Samson for the sake of this. We cut to some ex-Guardian named Samson who lost his powers and as such was booted from the Guardians. He's wallowing away in his mansion. Boo-hoo. Oh no, he has a mansion and a servant who waits on his every beck and call.
But
what was
he lost his superpowers. What's the point if you lost your superpowers?
Anyways, Samson is on the phone with someone who claims to be able to give him his powers back. So that's cool. Mark and William get to their admission appointment. We learn more about William as a character.
I love my boy William, my boy Willie.
He doesn't like
Bill,
that.
I'm getting to that. He's like, can I call you Will? No, you may not, ma'am. My name is William, and you will refer to me as such. Can I call you Billy? No, you may not, sir.
Yeah, it does. There's like this little subplot where like everyone they meet is like, oh, William, can I call you Will? He's like, no, you can call me William. And they're like, okay, jerk. And then he complains to Mark like, what's wrong with preferring William? Why does everyone think I'm a jerk? Anyways.
Because he says it in such a jerky fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, he is kind of a jerk about it. Meanwhile, Nolan and Debbie are still having more super sex. Mark and William then meet Rick Sheridan, their tour guide, another character that isn't important in these 13 issues, but becomes important later on. I'm mentioning these characters just so that if you, dear listener, want to pick up Invincible and read onwards, you know where to go from here. You're not left in the lurch. As they're taking the tour, there's some sort of superpowered zombie robot attacks campus. Mark does the whole Peter Parker, I gotta use the bathroom thing, or whatever, to, like, go and change. The robot just kind of beelines to some spiky modern art and kills itself for some reason. So Mark's like, well, that was easy. And then he goes back to join the group. William's like, hey, you're invincible.
William's the only one with critical thinking skills here.
Yeah. William can connect the dots better than any other comic book character. Later on, Omni-Man and Invincible go to Arts. He's the super suit maker to respond to some emergency thing. He explains that he was the guy on the phone with Samson that was building a suit to replicate his powers, but someone stole it, and it might have been Samson. We don't know. Cliffhanger ending for this. Eve goes to the Teen Team. I hate that name. Eve goes to the Teen Team base, sees something traumatic, and just says no over and over. We don't know what it is yet, but we will, and it's not great. Issue 7. This is a really fun issue.
This is a great issue.
This is all just introducing us to the various members of the Guardians of the Globe, which are all Justice League analogs. So we see Midnight City, which is a city that's always in
dark.
midnight. It's always in dark because of some, like, magic dude. Midnight City is obviously a Gotham City analog, and it's home to Darkwing, this universe's Batman analog. We see a Russian Flash analog named the Red Rush. There's a Wonder Woman analog who is gay, Kendra! Gay! We love representation here at the Comic Book Club. Her name is War Woman. Really original there. There's a fish dude. We never learn his name.
Fish dude.
He's just a fish dude. He's the king of Atlantis, but he doesn't really seem to do anything except sit on his throne and wait for the Guardians to call him.
He's just chilling, and he gets alert like, finally something to do.
Yeah, it's funny. This series is funny. There's two dudes that are both... It's like if someone took Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern and stuck them in a pot and then split that pot in half. You'd get these characters named Martian Man and the Green Ghost. So Martian Man is from Mars and is a shapeshifter. The Green Ghost, which are, obviously Martian Manhunter qualities. And then the Green Ghost is a dude who was handed the position and is also green-themed, thus being elements of Green Lantern. But he also has intangibility, which is a Martian Manhunter thing. So there's them. And then there's a dude just named Immortal, or the Immortal. And his power is being immortal.
Cool for him.
Yeah. Later on, it's implied that he's Abraham Lincoln, or he was Abraham Lincoln.
I missed that.
So that's cool.
I missed that part.
It's not in these issues. It's much later.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention it because it's funny. They all meet at their secret base, and then the big twist happens, and Omni-Man kills them all very easily.
Happy murder time.
Sorry?
Happy murder time.
Yeah, it's a real shock. So this was, to pause here, this was what first attracted me to the series. Years and years ago, I was scrolling through YouTube, as I spend all of my free time doing whenever I'm not reading comics. And I saw some video that was like, the best indie comic you've never heard of. And I was like, what's that? And then I watched it, and the dude was like, you need to read Invincible, because Superman goes nuts and kills the Justice League. And I was like, okay.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate that we don't get to see any more of these fun Justice League characters.
Hilarious. I was like, the Justice League. And they're like all bargain bin versions.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, they're all dead. And I'm like, well, there they go.
Yep. We see some of them get like what's the opposite of predecessors? Whatever that is. Antecessors? No, that's not right.
Anti means before.
So is it? No, predecessors also means before.
Predecessors also means before.
There's a term. I don't know the term. I can't think of the term.
Processor?
No, it's not It's not processor. Crap. It's when someone whatever. Some of them new characters come in using that name, like superheroes are wont to do, and some of them we like later on. Mark he goes to Atlantis. He goes to Midnight City. He interacts with those characters' supporting cast, even though they are now dead. So this isn't the last we see of them, and of course the Global Guardians, or Guardians of the Globe, pardon me.
Are there fake Robins?
I don't... Okay, so here's the thing. There is another... there's another Image Comics Batman analog, and he has a Robin analog. I can't remember it. They feature more in Savage Dragon, which is another Image property that sometimes crosses over with Invincible. But they're only there for comic relief, and whenever they show up, it's always that the Batman analog, who I think is named Catman, shows up and he's like, we're the dynamic duo. They don't use dynamic duo because that's copyrighted. But we're the something...
Dynamic duo is copyrighted?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is.
By DC?
I'm pretty sure. Batman and Robin, the dynamic duo. I think they call themselves the Dynamite Duo. Anyways, this Batman and Robin analog show up, and the Batman analog is like, we're the something duo, and we're here to kick butt and take names. And then he inevitably messes it up, and the Robin analog fixes it for him, and then the dude's like, see, I told you, we're the something duo, and we're super cool and awesome. They actually show up in the background of a later issue. But again, I cannot remember their names. Issue 8. Nolan talks to a Rorschach analog, and I just put in my notes, ew. I thought we were done with him, but I forgot this character shows up.
Damien Darkblood is a demon detective, and I was getting Hellboy.
Yeah, I think it's an amalgamation of Rorschach and or The Question, which is who Rorschach was based on, and Hellboy. There might also be some elements of Etrigan, the demon from DC in there. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's your like dark brooding detective with the gravelly voice that like walks around in shadows and is he's Rorschach. He's just Rorschach. His name is Damien Darkblood Demon Detective. Because of course it is. He's on the case of the Guardians' murder, and he believes that Samson is the prime suspect. Which, I really think this is supposed to be Kirkman poking fun at Watchmen, because he's like so hell-bent on Samson being the prime suspect, just as Rorschach was hell-bent on anyone other than Veidt being the prime suspect. They're very similar characters.
I was so convinced we were dealing with some kind of shapeshifter. I was like, Omni-Man couldn't have just killed them all.
We'll get to that. Eve flies into Mark's bedroom, and we learn that the thing she saw was Rex getting down with multiple duplicates in the Teen Team base. Whoops!
Just in the open.
Uh-oh!
Splode and duplicate. Just having fun.
Yep, just Dr. Manhattan-ing it up. You know what I mean? He sure was Rex Splodin'.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm sorry, Kendra.
Hate crime.
So Eve basically breaks down and is like leaning on Mark for comfort. And then Debbie walks in and is like, Mark, how dare you? Blah, 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 blah. He's like, Mom, I punch space squids now, and this is what you're getting mad at me for?
No, it just looks very, very promiscuous.
Yeah.
She comes up for air, like, I don't know if I can say any of the words that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so as Eve is breaking down, she ends up like putting her head in Mark's lap for comfort, just like rest her head on his legs, because she's like in an insane amount of tears. And it's like as Debbie's walking into the room, her natural reaction is to pull her head up from Mark's lap, etc., etc. You can connect the dots. Girl. At school, Mark gets the number of some random hot chick. Literally, we have never seen this character before.
She was just like, "Hey, I'm in this issue now.
I exist now. Here's my number." And then he and William see Derek, the kid with the metal torso, coming back to school.
I would never come back to school.
If you had a metal torso?
Yeah. If my physics teacher kidnapped me, put me in his basement, and turned my organs metal, you would never hear from me again.
Okay. Next scene is a funeral for the Guardians of the Globe at Arlington Cemetery. We see Damien again. He's talking to Savage Dragon, which is a cameo. So Savage Dragon is another Image Comics character. He was, I think, one of the first Image characters back in the 90s. He's for most of his run, he was a superpowered cop in, I think, Detroit, which is the whole thing in his comic is that like organized crime, like every member of the gangs there are also all superpowered. So yeah, yep, that guy. Kendra just pulled up his picture. I've read all of Savage Dragon. It's good at times, tedious at others. A couple of years ago, the author was just he very publicly said, you know what? I don't want to write comics anymore. I want to write softcore porn. So he just turned the Savage Dragon ongoing into a softcore porn title. And it's about Dragon's son, Malcolm Dragon.
Cool.
Who is a half black, half alien. Because it turns out, there's a big reveal that Dragon is an alien. So his son is...
He looks not human?
Mm-hmm. He looks close enough to human that he could just be like a genetic freak. And like, you know, again, the whole concept of his comic is that all of the organized gang members are all like genetic freaks or something.
Okay.
But yeah, he's an alien. So right now, for some reason, I don't know why, I'm still reading Savage Dragon.
Did you just admit on air that you read softcore porn?
I don't read it for that, though. Very
you
occasionally.
Just admitted on air that you read softcore porn.
Okay, here's the thing. I have spent time and effort reading over 200 issues of Savage Dragon to catch up with it because I saw him in Invincible and I liked him. So I'm committed now. I can't just not continue reading it. I don't even like it when it's the softcore porn parts. I read it for it's like every issue is like 1/3 superhero stuff. And then 1/3 political statements about like COVID or Trump or something, and then 1/3 softcore porn. And I just read it, and I don't know why. Something keeps drawing me back. It's not the porn. I can tell you that much.
Wow, dude.
Anyways.
Wow, dude.
Oh God, my mom's gonna listen to this episode. Oh no.
Hi, Mom. Matt reads softcore porn.
No, I don't read it for the porn. I don't like it when it's just porn. Anyways, that's Savage Dragon. It's decent at times. Damien Darkblood Demon Detective has ruled out Samson as a suspect because he's too sad.
He is a mess in his huge mansion.
Yeah. The funeral is basically just a who's who of other Image characters. We see Savage Dragon and his wife and kid. We see Brit, who's like a he's just Captain America. He's a British Captain America. We see a Super Patriot, who is a cyborg that loves America. He's better than it sounds. I know it sounds like it's...
That's hilarious. That doesn't sound wrong at all. Go for him. Good for him.
I know...
Go Super Patriot.
I know on paper it sounds like it's going to be like, oh, it's just going to be like a right-wing, like, America, terrorism, but he's actually really chill. He features a lot more in... I think he comes up in a couple of later Invincible issues, but he features a lot more in the Savage Dragon title. And he's really chill. Yeah, actually. And then we also see a character named Shadowhawk, which is another one of the original Image characters. Just like a cute little cameo scene. The Mauler Twins show up too to pay respects. I like. Okay, listen. When a hero or villain dies, I like it when the other side shows up at the funeral. Okay, because it shows that there's a bit of professionalism. It's cool. It's chill. Okay, that's something that makes me happy when I see it in comics.
Hey, we tried to destroy each other multiple times, but you know what? He was one of my best friends.
It's less than that and more just of, like, respect and, like, professionalism, you know? Of, like, you were a worthy foe, so I'm paying my respects as a fellow warrior.
I choose to think of all superhero, supervillain interactions as Dr. Doofenshmirtz and Perry the Platypus.
You can't tell me Doofenshmirtz wouldn't go to Perry's funeral.
Exactly, because Perry was his best friend.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the eulogies start, and then Samson's butler shows up in the stolen suit. it turns out that he was the one that stole the suit. He claims that he was planning to kill the Guardians, but someone else did it, so now he's at the funeral to, I guess, mess up the bodies. And he's angry at the Guardians for turning their backs on Samson. I gotta say, there's something that's, like, vaguely homoerotic about the way he's talking about Samson.
The benefits of this job must be amazing.
What, that you have access to a super suit?
No, that you would want to go on this rampage for your boss.
Yeah, that's what makes me think that maybe... I mean, Samson clearly didn't reciprocate, but I think maybe the butler had something for him. It's just something... It's not even like, oh, I'm attacking them on his behalf. It's like the way... I'm trying to... if I could pull up an example, it would be more specific.
Never would you find me fighting the nearest superhero affiliation for my boss. Never.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too far into it. Because clearly you didn't pick up on this.
I got that. Now that you say it, it makes sense.
Yeah. There is... Because this was written in the early 2000s, there are a couple scattered, poorly aged gay jokes.
Yeah. This might be one of them. He easily gets taken down because it's a superhero funeral. So there's like 20 superheroes. He was like, I'm going for it.
There was like 20 superheroes that immediately just beat the crap out of him. Yeah, and then everyone leaves the funeral. That night, William asks Mark to take him flying. Here's one of the outdated gay jokes.
I think it was worth it just for the look of pure bliss on William's face.
William is so happy.
I'm like, okay. And to be fair, maybe a little gay.
Well, here's the thing. There's a twist much later on that William is actually gay.
And you know what? This is called foreshadowing.
I don't know. I think it's just Kirkman being like, uh-oh, all those gay jokes I made have aged terribly. Let's make the character that was either the focal point of them or the one making them into a gay man.
Foreshadowing.
Sure. You could call it foreshadowing. It's at this point that Debbie notices Nolan is acting different. Aside from just, like, the grief of all of his best friends being killed, like, there's something else wrong. Like, Debbie's picking up on it. You know, obviously it's because he killed them, but Debbie's picking up on it.
Debbie's like, something's wrong here. Something's a little...
Something's off.
Yeah.
Our super sex isn't as spicy as it used to be. That same night, two teens are digging up the Immortal's corpse because they think if they like drink out of the skull, then they can become immortal. I don't know. It's like teen ruffian thing. And it turns out the Mauler Twins had the same idea.
They were like, yeah,
and
corpses.
Then it's heavily implied that the Mauler Twins just kind of killed those kids.
I mean, what did you expect?
And that's issue 8. Issue 9, we start off with a Star Trek parody.
I was fully prepared for them to die also.
Yeah, it's Kirkman loves. There's a large portion of the series that is just Kirkman making fun of other media, and it's great. I love those scenes. They get easily rescued by Alan the alien, just to kind of. I don't know.
Just to remind you that he's here.
I guess I don't know what else the point of the scene would be other than for Kirkman to make fun of. It's
making fun of Star Trek and letting you know Alan's still doing good.
Yeah. Back on Earth, it's Mark's birthday. Yay!
Woo.
Happy birthday, Mark. I think he's 17? 18? It's never stated.
God, he's so young, though.
Yeah. And he's a superhero.
Life is rough.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, Robot is at his Guardians of the Globe interview, and we meet Cecil, I never know how to pronounce that name. Cecil or Cecil Stedman, who is some high-ranking government dude, and Donald Ferguson, who is the liaison between the Pentagon and the superhero community. They inform Robot that they want him to both form and lead a new team of Guardians.
That's putting a lot on Robot.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I was here for an interview. I didn't mean to take over.
And since he was a member of the team, he's like 19 at most. But, you know, again, as we stated earlier, he's very smart. There was a whole issue that was just dedicated to him flexing how smart he is. So, he can do it. We see Omni-Man sort of having a crisis. He's gathering up the courage to talk to Mark about something, presumably about all the murdering he did, but we're not sure. Invincible and Eve go on patrol. They fight the Lizard League, which is a portmanteau of Hydra from Marvel. A portmanteau of Hydra from Marvel, Serpent Society also from Marvel, and Cobra from DC. So it's just like your standard, like, secret snake-themed organization. We will rule the world and poison the water supply. Blah, blah, blah.
I would like to point out that at this point, I'm still convinced that Omni-Man did not kill all of these people, even though I saw it with my own eyes.
You sweet summer child. They easily beat up the Serpent Society, or the Lizard League, sorry. Serpent Society is the actual Marvel thing. Robot shows up and invites them to the Guardians tryouts. Eve's still pissed, because she's like, is Rex gonna be there? And Robot's like, yeah, why wouldn't he be? He's an asset. And Eve's like, okay, no thanks then. Which, like, yeah, I'm totally with Eve on this one.
Girl, never let a man get in the way of your bag.
Well, I don't know. Would you want to? Okay.
They said that this pays well. Girl, stack your money.
Okay, Kendra, let me ask you a question. If you were at a corporate job and your boyfriend was at the same level as you, and then you found out he was cheating on you, and then a week later you got the offer to be promoted, and learned that your boyfriend would also be promoted and would still be working very closely with you, would you take the promotion? Or your ex, I guess.
This is where I reveal myself as a very broken person. Because the answer is yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean...
I will not go further into this on the radio.
Uh-huh.
But...
Get that bag, girl.
I have a personality disorder.
This is not the time or place to talk about that. We're going to talk about comic books, dude. Mark basically says, I'll come to the tryout, but I'm not going to join the team. I'm like 17. Which, fair. The tryouts are another snapshot of other Image characters. It's here where we see the Batman and Robin parody in the background that I mentioned earlier. Let me see if I can pull up an image for Kendra for reference. Again, do not remember their names. I just know that they are ineffectual and used only for comic relief. Let's see here. Come on. It's those guys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. This is the Batman one and this is the Robin one. They show up to like bank robberies.
He's a grown up. I wanted to be a kid.
I think he's called Something Boy still. Which is, kind of rude. Yeah. There's a whole tryout montage. Samson's back in his new super suit. All forgiven because he didn't really do anything.
He was just the boss of a very gay employee.
Yeah. So the new team of Guardians is Robot, obviously, Duplicate, Rex, Splode, Samson, a new character named Shrinking Ray, who was like an Atom Ant-Man type character, and a new character named Monster Girl, who has the appearance of a little girl, but can transform herself into a big monster body and then like go back and forth.
Okay, so I read her backstory when I read the first issue of Invincible.
Yeah, because your first exposure was sort of like they mixed in like some other stuff that was published later.
I'm glad I did read her backstory.
Yeah, so Monster Girl, the more she uses her powers, like the more she transforms, the younger her human body gets. So we see a little bit of that because like after her tryout, she asks for a cigarette. So she's like much older than her appearance.
Yeah, I would have thought, oh, edgy little girl.
Yeah.
But no, she's a fully formed character.
She's like 30 or something. She old. Yeah, so that's the new team of Global Guardians, or Guardians of the Globe. Sorry. Later, a little bit later, they get renamed into Global Guardians, and then that's their name for the majority of the series, so that's what's in my brain. But right now, they're Guardians of the Globe, so I gotta remember that. That night, Eve stops by to visit Mark, sees that he's making out with the hot chick Amber, that gave her, the character that we don't know anything about, that gave
Just
Mark
Amber.
her number. Her name's Amber.
Just Amber.
Eve flies away sad. We cut to the Mauler Twins, who have Immortal's corpse. It's at this point that they start to argue about which twin is the clone, which makes me love them. They know that Immortal is going to revive, that it's just like a matter of time. Their plan is to put a collar on him that will control him when he does come back from the dead. He does. Collar doesn't work. He goes on a rampage.
They're like, well, darn.
He just kind of yells and then flies out of the ceiling.
And they look out like, dang. Crazy.
That's wild. Anyways.
That seems like somebody else's problem now.
Yeah. Issue 10, Invincible is doing his hero thing. Omni-Man keeps trying to talk to him. He keeps getting brushed off. Omni-Man is doing a lot more work than usual because he has to keep picking up the new Guardian slack as they aren't as effective, which means that he's spending less time with Debbie, which makes her sad. Mark goes to his local comic store to pick up his weekly pulls. God, I miss local comic stores. He meets the creator of his favorite series, which is like in-universe, and there's a funny meta joke about reusing art, because that is something that happens in Invincible. That if you look for it, there's some instances of reusing art, so they joke about it in this issue. I think it's funny, because I read a lot of comics, so it's funny to me. Then Immortal, the Omni-Man is like saving some people at an amusement park from some squid or something, and Immortal very publicly attacks him.
I would too.
Yeah, honestly,
Immortal
relatable.
is completely in the right here.
Yeah, Invincible sees it on the news, flies over to help him, shows up just as Omni-Man punches through Immortal's torso and rips him in half. And the scene ends with Omni-Man being covered in blood, being like, "Son, we gotta talk."
It's time for the talk, son.
Yeah, so this is where stuff starts going down. Issue 11. Turns out the Viltrum origin we were told is a lie. Viltrum is not a peaceful utopia, but is actually a planet full of incredibly powerful, ruthless conquerors that have established a massive empire spanning much of the galaxy. Because they're all, godlike beings that are almost immortal, it was not very hard for them. They would show up at a planet and be like, "Hey, do you want to join our empire? If you do, we'll give you all this advanced technology and also protect you." If you said yes, good for you. You're now under the thumb. If you said no, they'll kill your entire freaking planet. Eventually, their empire got stretched too thin, and what was once entire platoons of Viltrumites per planet became one Viltrumite per potential target. So basically, a single Viltrumite agent would be sent to a planet, and then over the course of 500 years, they would mold it using their godlike powers to be ready and welcome for the Viltrumites to show up, to officially bring it into the fold. And Nolan got assigned Earth. Initially, he only acted as a protector to sort of protect Viltrumite interests. I was like, well, I don't want too many people to die, so I guess I'll save them. But
this must be such a terrible job. Earth must be such a terrible place to get assigned, because there's always something happening. And they mention this in the comics. It's like, I feel like I was always saving humans from something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Dang. Take a break. Go on a walk.
Yeah. So initially he only acted to protect Viltrumite interests, but meeting Debbie made Nolan start to enjoy life as a human and start acting as like a genuine hero. Mark being born only helped that, but when Mark turned 17 and started developing his powers, it sort of kicked Nolan back into gear and made him decide to get back to his real mission of softening up Earth, the first step of which was killing the Guardians. And then he asks Mark to help him prepare Earth for the inevitable Viltrumite takeover. At this point, we learn more about Viltrumites. Like I said, they're nearly immortal, which like their lifespan is like thousands of years. Nolan calls Debbie, quote, little more than a pet. Viltrumite's DNA is so pure and complete that mating with nearly any other race produces another almost full-blooded Viltrumite, which means Mark will eventually be stronger than Nolan and will live for thousands of years. Mark turns down the offer to take over the Earth, and the fight begins.
This was so funny. Mark tried.
Issue
Mark
12
was like, here we go.
Yeah. Issue 12 is mostly just fight scenes. They, fight all over the planet. They destroy buildings. It's basically a Zack Snyder film.
Ooh, deep cut.
Yeah. If anything, I'd call this the inspiration. I mean, this fight scene did like 2 Supermen plowing through buildings before Man of Steel. So, Zack Snyder kind of ripping off Invincible here. I don't know. Fight me, Zack. Nolan reiterates that humans, including Debbie, mean nothing to him. Mark argues that he's seen Nolan genuinely happy in his life amongst humans. There's more fighting. Omni-Man easily kicks Invincible's butt. It's not even a contest. Nolan's argument rests on the fact that he has no reason to care about humans since he'll outlive every human because of his lifespan. Asks Mark what he'll have after 500 years. Mark replies, "You, Dad. I'll still have you."
And that's sad.
Yeah.
Nolan leaves Earth.
Yep, Nolan leaves Earth, tears streaming down his face. We gotta move on. Last issue. Over the course of 2 weeks, Mark recovers from the fight in the basement of the Pentagon. He meets Cecil. Turns out he's been on the other end of the beeper that Omni-Man had been using throughout the series. He said he has set up a fake funeral and like manipulate stuff to spare Mark and Debbie from the public knowing everything out of a source of guilt, because Cecil's like, I should have seen this coming, so I'm going to take care of you. Eve asks Robot to find out where Mark is. In the course of asking, Robot is informed that he and the Guardians are basically on probation due to their poor performance. At this point, Cecil offers Mark a deal. If he takes Omni-Man's place as sort of a government-sponsored hero, they'll keep him and Debbie financially stable, which includes a full ride to college, because Nolan was their sole source of income. At this point, Alan shows up, Alan the alien. Invincible catches him up on everything involving the Viltrumites. Alan's like, well, it's very unusual that Nolan A went native and B left Earth before finishing the job. Alan reveals that his home planet was once destroyed by the Viltrumites when they resisted the takeover. And Alan's basically like, I'm going to go back to the coalition of planets and tell them about all this stuff. They'll probably want to talk to you at some point. And Mark's like, cool.
I'm going to go finish high school.
Yeah, which, bold. I wouldn't. And that's the first major story arc of Invincible. I cannot recommend this comic enough. It is so good. Kendra, do you think you will continue to read it in your own time?
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably. This was fun.
It's so good. And it only gets better.
This is the most fun I've had reading a comic in a long time.
It truly only gets better. There's so much other stuff that happens. Because, like I said, there's actual plot, there's actual character development, so it's not just like villain of the week, It is that for a little while, but it just continues to evolve and grow, and it's so good. And there's an Amazon Prime animated series coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why the comic book was free when I first bought it. Because they were promoting the Amazon Prime show. So
I'll probably re-up my Amazon Prime subscription when that comes out. What are we reading next week, or 2 weeks from now, Kendra?
We are reading Something's Killing the Children.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited, because it's the first comic book that I have read on my own.
Mm-hmm. It is a 15 issues limited series. It's been collected in 3 trade paperbacks. It's written by, I think, James Tynion IV, who was one of my favorite Batman writers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's cool. So that's what we'll be reading. We'll try to fit all 15 issues into one episode. This might be another 2-parter. Or maybe we'll just skip some stuff. I don't know. We'll work it out. We'll figure it out. If you want to talk to us about anything, if you have questions about Invincible, if you have recommendations for stuff we can read, or topics to talk about on non-book club episodes, or just anything at all that you want us to know, you can tweet at us at CBBCPod. That's at CBBCPOD on Twitter. Or you can email us at CBBCPod. That's CBBCPOD at gmail.com. I've been your host, Matt Lasik.
I've been your co-host, Kendra Forte.
And until next week, Excelsior.